This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, the number of people choosing to vote early in the general election continues to soar. The Waitaki District Mayor is encouraging Lake Oho residents to focus on rebuilding their flattened town. And hundreds of people looking for career opportunities visit an employment event in Queenstown. Tēnā koutou katoa, ngā mihi o te ahiahi nei, kia ora. I'm Simon Anderson. More than 1 million New Zealanders have already hit the ballot box as early voting numbers continue to soar. There was a steady stream of people today visiting at the polling station in Dunedin's Octagon.
Using their lunchtimes to exercise their democratic rights. Polling stations across the country have been busy as more than 1 million New Zealanders choose to vote early in the general election.
I think it's cool, yeah. Hopefully it's sort of a sign that there'll be a large turnout overall at the end, which is always positive when you get more people, so yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a few people in there actually, yeah. I wasn't expecting to see the line and then actually a line when I was coming out too.
I just think, again, it's a lot more convenient if you can vote within a set period of time rather than on just one particular day. I think you'll get a lot more people that vote because they can rather than just Saturday morning or Saturday.
Well, I think it's an encouragement to get behind voting and supporting government initiatives, and everybody's got the opportunity.
Nearly 500,000 votes were cast over the weekend alone, with more than 1 million votes cast so far.
I think I'm enthusiastic to make a vote, and I think it's a good, excellent initiative of the government to open it up.
I chose to vote early just to get it out of the way, really. There's still time, but I'd already decided and it seemed like the opportune moment to do it. As I've just finished work, heading off for lunch, popped in.
Probably just more convenience really, just because I work in town and just a lot easier to vote now than make it a Saturday.
I like the idea of being able to get in early because then I know it's done, and I don't like the mad panic rush of doing it on the day. I think it's good that it gives more opportunity to actually take the time to have a think about what I'm voting for and who I'm voting for.
Thought it would probably fit in easier with my schedule, get it over and done with quicker rather than maybe risking the lines on the day, so yeah.
Advanced voting is up by 50% on the 2017 election, and figures show there's also been an increase in the number of 18 to 24-year-olds enrolling to vote this election. Election Day is Saturday, October 17th, with early results due Saturday night. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Demolition of the former warehouse stationery building on Cumberland Street is underway. The building is being demolished to make way for Dunedin's new hospital. Pile testing will also begin soon as structural engineers start to consider how to best prepare the sites to start building the new facility. It will span about a month, starting on the 20th of October and finishing on the 21st of November. Demolition will continue alongside pile testing, moving on to the former Wilson's parking building. Focus on the rebuild. That's the message from Waitaki District Mayor Gary Kircher. The Mayor was among the Lake Oho residents and Waitaki District councillors who visited the now largely destroyed village.
Charred, flattened buildings and twisted steel is all that remains of Lake Oho village. Waitaki District Mayor Gary Kircher says the clean-up work has begun while residents are talking with insurance companies, keeping the process moving along so the land doesn't deteriorate any further.
Contractors will be starting to turn up from mid-Wednesday. Sites need to be cleaned off, all the material gone, and they not only gets rid of that health and safety issue of tin and so on blowing around, it also makes sure that it's ready for building on and we don't end up with a wasteland.
Kircher describes walking through the destroyed village as sobering and emotional, as he and locals walk through the scant remains of their lives.
These have been very intense fires. In most houses there's no sign of any timber at all, it's just been totally incinerated. generated.
The smell of burning hung in the air while a few residents picked through their belongings, none of whom wanting to speak directly with media. Central government has offered funding for some work, but Gary Kirscher says they need more.
Yeah, so the government gave us some funding, and that's going to help us with some of the operational costs of running some of the activity, the things within the village. We have asked the government to consider giving some more money, because this is quite an unusual event with where we're needing to provide security and health and safety staff on site 24/7.
Throughout the village there are burnt tree stumps, roofing metal and corrugated iron, twisted and blowing in the wind. And in between, some houses untouched by flames. The fire destroyed 48 buildings and burnt through 5,000 hectares of the Mackenzie Basin earlier this month. In Oho, the South Today.
An Alexandra man is protesting for a stolen generation. Tony Jarvis and 5 others were outside the Alexandra office of Oranga Tamariki recently. They are hoping to get child uplift issues onto the political agenda in the last week of the election campaign. In an emotional speech, Jarvis spoke about his traumatic childhood and being institutionalised in the cherry farm for 5 weeks. But yet, you sent that little boy there anyway.
Little boy was never going to be normal and fit in ever again after you stole him and what you put him through. Stick that little boy in a asylum, 9 years old, when the doctor told you he would lock that boy up with adults who would corrupt him and abuse him. But yet you sent that little boy there anyway.
Jarvis says he was taken from his mother in 1961 and claims to be one of the last Māori babies to be taken in New Zealand under the Adoption Act of 1955. Oranga Tamariki's Lower South Regional Manager Christine McKenna says the group has every right to protest and no child was ever removed from their parents unless there were concerns of a serious nature. Hundreds of hopefuls turned up to a job expo held in Queenstown. Organised by Clutha Mayor Brian Cadogan, the event allowed job seekers to chat with potential employers in circumstances less stressful than a job interview.
People looking for jobs after the impact of COVID-19 had a chance to chat face-to-face with potential employers at the Job Opportunities Expo at the Queenstown Memorial Centre on Saturday. The event was organised by Clutha Mayor Brian Cadogan, who can still remember himself what it was like to be unemployed and the stress of a formal job interview. He says the speed dating process can be less intimidating for job seekers.
But if you can just sit and talk to either the HR manager or the owner, someone that on the spot can make the immediate decision, that's all that you have to have. You just have to have the connection. So we know that speed dating and the job opportunity process works.
Over 800 jobs were on offer, with plans to follow up on every person who registered to track their progress in finding work in these uncertain times.
There was certainly angst. I feel the angst in the community, and we're seeing the figures coming through, and then to actually meet the people firsthand and to at least in some way provide some resolution to the challenges that they face. I really worry for the pressure that so many beautiful people are under. It's not the New Zealand way, and I'd like to think there's resolution there.
By the end of the day, one employer, Silverfern Farms, had more than 100 people on its list for potential jobs. In Queenstown, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today. There's a new scheme to celebrate and promote the arts in Central Otago, and we have the third instalment in our earthquake series, Ka kite a koa nei.
Hi, Alec Campbell Menswear. We're back in George Street on the corner of Hanover Street. Come and check out our big store. It's a big space full of bargains. Now look at these shirts. There's shirts for everybody here. Look at these merino pullovers, stacks of moleskins, literally tons of trousers. Check out these big racks of sports jackets. Beautiful.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So come and check out Alec Campbell Menswear. We're back on George Street. in the old ANZ building.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Hoki mai anō, welcome back. A new arts event is now on the Central Lakes calendar thanks to the COVID-19 lockdown. Organised by the Three Lakes Cultural Trust, the Renew Art Showcase has provided employment to numerous artists, performers and event staff.
Queenstown hosted the very first Renew Art Showcase over the weekend, to a full house at the Queenstown Event Centre on Friday and a good crowd on Saturday.
Everybody's really excited because they've been able to get out and have something to enjoy, and we've transformed the event centre into, somebody likened it like walking into Te Papa last night. They said it's like walking into Te Papa and then walking into the Performing Arts Centre. So yeah, we're so happy with the community support and with all of the grant support that we've had from the community trusts, and we couldn't be happier as a trust.
The event has its origins with lockdown earlier this year, when more than 40 artists and performers had their work funded through the newly formed Three Lakes Cultural Trust.
Our arts and cultural communities' livelihoods was literally switched off overnight. We know that when COVID hit and we went into level 4, there was no events, and we needed to actually help our arts and cultural practitioners.
In all, over 150 people have directly benefited from the show, which is called Renew Art.
The vibrancy of the work that's been here and the energy of the artists has just been extraordinary because they've been given that opportunity, and they've been paid to do it in this tough environment, which is awesome. And they still get to be able to be paid for their work and sell their work, and then the performers have got an opportunity to be able to show their performing arts to over 2,000 people who are booking tickets.
And Wanaka gets a chance to see the Renew Art show this coming weekend, with tickets free through Eventbrite. In Queenstown, the South today.
Shannon Courtney is one artist whose work will be on display this weekend at the Renew Art event in Wanaka. Giving unloved second-hand tableware a new purpose is a passion for the Cadrona ceramic artist.
Transforming second-hand tableware is a passion for artist Shannon Courtney of Cadrona. Working with clay was very tactile.
It's just like creating something from a lump of clay. Like it starts out as nothing and ends up being something that you can use and your friends and family can use, and it's they're loved objects.
A feature of her work is mixing colour into the clay.
So I'm actually colouring the clay itself instead of using glaze to colour. So that's been a very exciting step.
Courtney is one of the artists exhibiting at the Renew Art project opening this week in Wanaka.
Well, I ended up adapting the idea that I'd find things at second-hand stores that used to be a part of a set, So there was just one glass left and someone didn't want it anymore because it's, you know, not part of a set. So I'd take that and I'd make it a set again. Yeah. So make a mould from that and make 6 cups and there's your set.
In Cardrona, the South Today.
Tonight we bring you the third in a 10-part series on Dunedin's risk of an earthquake similar in magnitude to the ones that damaged Christchurch 10 years ago. One expert says Dunedin's old brick and masonry houses could be badly affected by a major earthquake.
University of Otago geology professor Mark Sterling says the Akatori Fault, running for 70 kilometres along the coastline south of Dunedin City, has ruptured twice in the last 1,000 years, and it could well move again with destructive force at any time.
It would mean quite a lot of damage if there was an Akatori earthquake tomorrow or whatever. It would cause a great deal of damage to the masonry buildings of the Dunedin environment and some of the 1960s and 70s buildings that you see like you know, in our university.
Professor Sterling says houses built before the mid-70s were engineered without much understanding of how earthquakes affected buildings. Thus, brick and mortar homes that are over 50 years old are liable to encounter damage from a large earthquake.
When the building code really took earthquakes into account, the building standard went up quite a bit. So 1976 was a key time. So buildings post 76 would probably fare a lot better than earlier buildings. Now that's not including the good old weatherboard New Zealand house, which can stand anything.
That means weatherboard houses made almost solely from timber can flex and often survive the stresses of a major earthquake. Civil Defence Emergency Manager Glenn Mitchell says even when major earthquakes struck Christchurch 10 years ago, the amount of damage to homes varied considerably from suburb to suburb.
The week I was up there, I was based in Riccarton, right, and it was pretty much business as usual there. So, but then when you go into the eastern suburbs, and a very different story. So, even an event like that, surprising how very localised some of the impacts were.
In Dunedin, the South Today.
After the break on the South Today, Southern dogs have had their day at a new dog park in Invercargill, and we look at the weather. When is it set to improve? Find out after the break.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell menswear, it fits.
TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air, and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Step into Shop on Carrot and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
Hi, Al Campbell Menswear. We're back in George Street on the corner of Hanover Street. Come and check out our big store. It's a big space full of bargains. Now look at these shirts. There's shirts for everybody here. Look at these merino pullovers, stacks of moleskins, literally tons of trousers. Check out these big racks of sports jackets. Beautiful.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So come and check out Alex Campbell Menswear. We're back on George Street in the old ANZ building.
Inside are all sorts of innovations from all over China.
No mai nor. Dogs and their owners had a day out at the dog park in Bluff on Saturday. The event was put on by the local council and included free microchipping and health checks on the pets.
Dogs had their day out on Saturday in Bluff, with the Invercargill City Council putting on an event to celebrate recent improvements to the park's fence and gate at the Ocean Beach Dog Park.
Today's a bit of a fun day to promote the dog park that we've got the free non-leash area at Bluff. We've just put in a new gate so that it's easy for once you get in there, it shuts behind you so the dogs can't go back out onto the street. And we've got some demonstrations here for an arson dog and a velvet leaf, velvet leaf sniffer dog. We've also got sausages, we've got registration and free microchipping for today.
Because dogs are not allowed off the leash in Bluff, this dedicated park gives them a chance to run free.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, it's great to see all the dogs out on a beautiful Bluff sunny day.
Owners were also shown how their pets could become working dogs to detect unwanted weeds such as velvet leaf in pasture.
It's first just presenting them with the plant and rewarding them when they sniff at it, and then it's a matter of taking this out and putting it in a paddock somewhere so you can safely retrieve it, and then working the dog around until they detect it, and then it's all based on reward.
The day also included free health checks for dogs by Southern Institute of Technology vet nursing students. In Bluff, the South Today.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. The number of people choosing to vote early in the general election continues to soar as advanced voting sets new records. The Waitaki District Mayor is encouraging Lake Oho residents to focus on rebuilding their flattened town as they visit their former homes. And hundreds of people looking for career opportunities visited an employment event in Queenstown. And now for a look what's happening in tomorrow's ODT, we have Hayden Meikle with us this evening. Kia ora, Hayden.
Good evening, Simon. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Excellent. Some good yarns today. Ticket Rocket, of course, it's been an ongoing story this year, the travails of the Dunedin-based ticket company. We've now got 2 Super Rugby franchises applying to put the company into liquidation, trying to get some of their money back that season ticket holders missed out on. More on the Invercargill situation, of course. What are we, day 4, 5, 6? Another Invercargill City Councillor coming out very strongly today.
Wow.
Very critical of Mayor Sir Tim Shadbolt. And we've also got the latest thoughts from Sir Tim himself, who writes a column for the Southern Express down there. Lovely story out of Oamaru, nothing new there. There's always lots of great stories out of Oamaru. It's a story involving a golf ball and a duck. I'll just leave it at that, Simon. Let your imagination run wild. And a great wee yarn on a local Dunedin kid who finished among top marks in New Zealand for a Year 9 maths exam, a little maths genius. And start of university exams today, so we've had a bit of a chat to supervisors down there, what to expect, plus got all the numbers of how many students are sort of nervously ploughing through their exams. So all that, and of course the last couple of days of electioneering ahead of the big day on Saturday.
That's right. That's great, Hayden. Thanks very much. And now time for a look at tomorrow's weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Starting with today's southern view, a tradesman on a roof lifting paint up the side of a Bath Street building. Looking at the situation, it's a cold night inland with potential frosts, though some cloud remains on the coast. Most places can look forward to a fine day tomorrow as an anticyclone moves over New Zealand and away to the Pacific. But an incoming cold front Friday will bring more unsettled weather to the end of the working week. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, which is the sunny side tomorrow, Greymouth on 16 and Westport on 14 degrees. To the northeast, it's mostly sunny in Nelson on 14 degrees. Blenheim just sees cloud on 12. And then colder out east, just 9 or 10 degrees for those in Canterbury. Kaikoura has scattered showers and it's partly cloudy in Christchurch and Ashburton. To the southern towns, where it's fine with moderate northeasterlies everywhere. Most of you reach 14, while the Catlins lingers, 2 lower on 12 degrees. Fine too for most of central Otago, accompanied by light winds in Queenstown, Wanaka and Alexandra, where it's 15, 16 and 17 degrees respectively. Freshening northwesterlies and cloud increasing for Te Anau on 13. To the northern towns. On the coast, moderate northeasterlies, but otherwise fine for Timaru and Oamaru on 14 and 13 degrees. It's lovely inland, 17 for Twizel and 18 for Omarama, as light winds freshen things slightly. In Dunedin, cloudy tonight with southwesterlies easing and a low of 4 degrees. Becoming fine and sunny tomorrow morning, but cold with northeast winds developing, becoming fresh and gusty during the evening. High of 11 and a low of 5. Overcast on Friday with some rain developing late in the day. Moderate northerly winds change to colder southwesterlies freshening during the evening. A high of 14 and a low of 7. And in Invercargill, becoming fine tonight with cold southerly winds easing and a low of 2. Fine and sunny tomorrow with cold southerly winds dying out before northerlies develop. High cloud increasing later. High of 14 and a low of 7. Cloud increasing and lowering on Friday with rain developing late morning and freshening northwest winds. Colder southwesterlies develop late in the day with rain easing to showers and a high of 14 with a low of 6 degrees. And that's the news this Wednesday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz or follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Nō reira, kia pai te pō. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.